I just want to show you guys how it's so easy to read the script of this supposed pandemic, BS-19 pandemic. I'm going to use Australia, of course, as the example. Here is the good old map of Australia, the mainland, and we've got Tasmania down below. Most of what happens in Australia is between the two states, Victoria and New South Wales, the capital Melbourne and the capital Sydney, and in between we've got the capital Canberra, the ACT, where all the pedophiles hang out. But what I want to start with, as you know, Australia is a sports mad country, especially in Victoria and in Melbourne. Our game, AFL, Australian Football League, it's like a religion. So when does the football start? It starts in March. Okay. When did the pandemic, when was it declared? March. So what happened? The scriptwriters, because I'll tell you straight now, the AFL is complicit in all this bullshit. Right now. So the scriptwriters got together and says, okay, what do we do here? What they did, they played the first round. I'm going to point out there's 18 teams. That's 9 games. They played the first round in March, and then the shit started happening with the bullshit cases and what have you all throughout Australia. The first wave, so they call it. But now they're not even calling it the first wave because they're saying that was all due to the cruise ships and Tom Hanks. So what they did after round 1, they said, sorry, we can't, play anymore because of BS-19 and lockdowns. So even the chairman, or the CEO, whatever you want to call him, Dill McLaughlin, he actually stated that we'll be back at the end of May. He actually said May 31st, would you believe? I said, how did he know they'd be back then? But anyway, it's part of the script, of course. So everyone's in lockdown. There's no footy. There's nothing to do. There's nothing to watch. The natives are getting restless. But they can't keep them too restless because, I'm sitting at home doing nothing. I've lost my job. I can't go out. I need my football. I'll go crazy. So there's a point where the script writers to this bullshit couldn't go too far. They somehow, of course, had to lock people in, but they didn't want to get them too restless where all of a sudden, at a flick of a switch, everyone's going to start revolting. So, as you know, the first wave came and went, and cases started dropping to a point, everything was pretty good. So they stopped the lockdown in virtually every state in Australia. Victoria went from stage 3 to stage 2. And then, yes, of course, the football started. It was not just the end of May, I think it was the first week in June, the following week. So, everyone's happy. Footy's back. Who gives a fuck about any virus? The footy's back. That's all we're worried about. Hey, go the Pies, go the Tigers. But of course, no one's allowed in the stadiums. Anyway, weeks went by, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. What was going on? The players were getting tested like you cannot believe, supposedly. A couple of times a week at least. They were the most tested people in all of Australia. But no, of course, no one's testing positive because that doesn't suit the agenda. But what happened, I think about, don't quote me on the time, when late June, about the 3rd or 4th round back, someone tested positive and all hell broke loose. But it's not just someone, it just happened to be an Irishman who came back from Ireland. They had to make it that it was someone that came back from overseas. Perfect. But initially his tests were negative. Come the Friday, 2 days before the match, Essendon versus Melbourne, he tested positive, but it was only a mild positive according to his club. So they allowed him to train either that Friday night or Saturday morning, whatever. But the word got out to the AFL that, he tested positive. And by God, was it news. So they postponed the Sunday game that he was supposed to play in. And that hasn't been replayed yet. Anyway, but days after testing positive, he's tested negative again. So it proves that's all bullshit, but we don't need proof of that. But so the games kept going every week, and it got to a point. Don't quote me on the exact. Sometime early in July, the cases, the second wave started in Melbourne. A few cases were coming out, like only 9, 10 at the most. But everyone started panicking. Hang on, 10 cases. So what happened? They played the last game on the Sunday, whatever round it was. And the AFL said, all right, all the 10 teams out of 18 are out of Victoria, because that's the heart of the AFL. All 10 teams have to spread themselves out around Australia. And they went into these things called hubs, where they scheduled the next 4 rounds to be played in different states, and no more football was to be played in Melbourne or all of Victoria. But this is, like I said, there's hardly any cases. How do they know what was coming? So everyone's got out of Victoria. 2 days later, I think it was the Tuesday, Dictator Dan gets up. Sorry, everyone, stage 3 is back. Cases are happening. And of course, from that day on, they just fudged the figures and the cases just went up and up and up and up. But what a coincidence. All the footballers of the 10 teams in Victoria are out, spread across Australia. Spread across Australia, except for Hobart, because we don't have an AFL team in Hobart. But apparently they're going to be playing there soon. But, yeah, like I said, amazingly, everyone's out. So the good thing is, all these players are going to be out, and they're not coming back. So they're going to play how many rounds, whatever, till they get the 17 rounds that they've reduced from 22 to end the season. But they're all going to be played outside of Victoria, because, as you know, Victoria's the guinea pig state, and that's where all the cases are, and the supposed 6 deaths every day. Amazing, 6 deaths every day, 666. But so everyone's happy. The footy's still on, because their plan is to keep the footy going. So, like I said, the natives don't get restless. We've got to keep the football going. And amazingly, every one of these players get tested virtually every day, and none of them test positive. Even though they're playing the game, they're tackling, they're rubbing against other people. I mean, it's ridiculous. Of course they're not going to test them positive, because they want them to play. They want the AFL season to continue. It is scripted like you cannot believe. And there's talk that the grand final won't even be in Melbourne at the sacred MCG. It's going to be somewhere in Queensland, which isn't even really a football state. It's more rugby union. Rugby league. So there it is. It's not a coincidence that all these players went out 2 days before Dan announces the strict lockdowns again. So what more do you need? What more do you need to know? That the whole thing is scripted, even the AFL's involved. Look, I couldn't give a shit about AFL anymore. This just proves they're all part of the system. Are the games rigged? I don't know about that. Bit hard to rig a game when you got 22 players on each side, and they're all playing for their lives. But it's just not right. It's not right. Not right what the AFL's doing. People got no idea you know, what's going on here. They think it's great that the AFL's playing. But by God, you just do a little bit of thinking and you can see it's all scripted.